Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PodOwwll podcast right here from the beautiful Bel Air Hills in Southern California. I am so excited to have my guest on today. Henry Allen is a new Owwll ambassador. Man, we got on after the Owwll Monday mentors, and we just started chopping it up and collaborating, going back and forth. I kept hitting the extend on the call because
I'm banking with you, brother.
it got so good, man. I forgot to look at the phone to extend it again, and the call died. I'm like, bro, where you go? Where'd you go, bro? I have more.
I know. Well, listen, we're going to have a lot more sessions because we got some creative juice flowing there,
It was really
and
cool.
it was great. It's been amazing to make these great creative collaborations through Owwll. I think it's an important thing in our time.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, the vision that Jason had for Owwll. Literally, we are tangibly living those out in real time. Think about being isolated and lonely and depressed in a pandemic and not being able to reach out to another human being, and then falling into like the cattle herd of group crowd bonding and not being able to connect, to come up with the idea to do this out of all that. And look at us now. We get to, you in Spain, I'm in Los Angeles. We get
Yeah.
to collaborate on different things. I call you, I pay for your time. You call me, you pay for my time. And we both can promote and push out the app to other people to call us to pay for our time. This is such a cool thing. But the humanitarian connection in all this is what I'm most excited about, because I call the people on my Owwll app my HI, my human intelligence, and everything on my computer
Yes.
is my AI. That's my artificial intelligence. And between the two, I created Pod Brother Nation, and that's where we are right now, my brother. How you doing?
That's fabulous. That's fab. I love HI. May I cop that?
Yes, you can. That's my
Okay.
that's my gift to you.
Thank you very
You
much.
don't even have to give me credit for it. You can just own it as if you thought of it. That's how
Well,
that's how giving I am.
stream of consciousness.
Yeah, that's the love I have for you, my brother Henry.
Equally. We've got a lot more. We got a lot more creative ideas to birth.
So you are a very interesting, fascinating person on this planet. You're involved in a lot of things. You're long in the tooth and qualified for a lot of humanitarian assistance. You've got the creative gene, so that you are lucky enough to be gifted by God to have the talent to come up with some creative byproducts that you can leave for us to enjoy and create some immortality for yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I think that. Thank you very much. That was a very beautiful introduction.
Okay,
I
enough
really
about Henry.
appreciate it.
Now back to me, everybody. Thank you, Henry.
Exactly. I I grew up all over the world. I had a window into humanity in a way that
Hold that
most
thought.
American
Hold
kids.
that thought. Hold that thought. Speaking of window, landscaping
Yeah.
neighbors have started the leaf blower. Let me go close my window because I don't want to
Okay.
miss a thing. Everything
I
that you
didn't
have
hear a
is
thing.
everything is awesome. I don't want to miss it. So hold on 1 second.
Crazy kids, get off my
Get
lawn.
off my lawn, you crazy kids! Uh,
Let me take a little sip of my Vichy Catalan, which is the most delicious mineral water on the planet.
that
It's from
sounds good.
Catalonia in Spain. They did not pay me for this endorsement.
I know they should get on the Owl app.
They should pay me for this endorsement. Bishikat Dalan. You know, I drink it by the case full because it's hot.
All right.
Sam sweating.
Okay, so you saw the wizard. You pull the curtain back, and you can see all my magic levers.
See, we love that.
All right, so you can see my.
No, see, I'd be cooking like a turkey in that vest.
Well, I'm up here in the hills. It's like 65, 70 degrees, so it's super cold.
Oh man, send some of that over here. It's 105 right now at 9:30 at night.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so now back to Henry Allen.
All right, here I am. So so my dad was a cultural diplomat for the USIA. Did you ever hear about the USIA?
What is the USIA?
The USIA was, because it's now defunct, the U.S. Information Agency. And they were the propaganda wing of the U.S. government back in the 1950s and 60s. This is before there was a McDonald's outside of the United States. There was a time, people.
Wow.
And they took all the appropriated culture that is America and wrapped it up in a shiny red, white, and blue ribbon. Everything from jazz to apple pie to entertainment to aerospace and aeronautics and industry, the Olympics, sports, all these things that are American, and sold them back to the world as better than you did it. So, pay up. So, mission accomplished.
Wow.
But I got to look.
There was a machine behind that.
That's right. Talk about the men behind the curtain. But I grew up in Europe and the Soviet Union and South America and the Caribbean. We went to Cuba. And it was just really an amazing way to grow up. And I saw the spectrum of humanity paraded across my doorstep every day of my foundation. And what that opened me up to, looking at my own country of origin through a PR lens, sort of woke me up to a few things that I think a lot of people aren't really privy to. So I did see tremendous suffering in the world. I saw tremendous manipulation of humanity, and really a system of, guiding people down a particular track. That I feel that my work now, both as a creative artist, I'm a graduate of the National Theater Conservatory. I got my foundations in acting. But then I felt like I had a voice that wasn't being heard through my acting. I had to bend to the director, the producer, the playwright, right? So as a director, I get to lend my voice to a project. And I felt called to heal some of the damage in the world that my father's work did. Wow. So I ended up moving to I was in Denver where I finished my master's. I went to Minneapolis, Twin Cities, great place for theater. And raised my son, Cameron, as a single father mostly until he passed from brain cancer when he was 13 years old.
Sorry to hear that.
And, thank you. When your whole identity is wrapped up in parenting, and that's plucked out of the equation through nobody's fault, there's still no answers why an 11-year-old kid would get a kind of brain tumor that's only found in men over 45. No other kid at school got it. No other kid on the street got it. Why would he get it? And also, why not? And so it left me with kind of an existential crisis, and I had to get out of Dodge. I had to move, and I went to a little island city north of Boston, Massachusetts, called Gloucester.
I know Gloucester.
And Love Gloucester. I love Gloucester. I left a big piece of my heart in Gloucester. I started a folklore theater company there to rescue the stories that are dying with the people that carry them. Local stories, local folklore, the stories of people. We're not teaching them at home anymore. We're not teaching them in schools. And how do we know who we are if we don't know where we come from? And
Right.
that's globally. So that's also been a big thrust in my theater work and my creative work. Um, and so, alongside of that, with my son, I founded an organization that is now called the Lost Travelers Club. One thing when you have survived your children that you hear a lot is, oh, that's a club nobody wants to belong to. And that's a club nobody should belong to. Well, you know what? We're here. We might as well have a club. And so it's an empowerment organization that brings parents who have survived their children together and allows us to channel our grief into service in honor of our children. It lends purpose to our journey. And so I went and I studied and I got my diploma in grief and survival counseling to lend some credibility to my work. And it was a fascinating journey. And so out of that work, we've developed a word like widow or orphan for parents who have survived their kids. It didn't exist before. And now we have one, and it's peregrine. And the origins of the word peregrine are lost traveler or stranger in the field, also a pilgrim on a sacred journey, which we are, trying to find a sense of purpose again. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that leads me to
Peregrine.
my overarching sense of purpose, which is universal life skills. And underneath universal life skills lives the Lost Travelers Club, lives the Liminos Project, my theater work internationally. It lives Guywire, which is my counseling, not only in grief and survival, but anything people are struggling with when they're feeling uneasy and unstable. A Guywire lends stability to a structure until it can find its own strength to stand on its own. So I found my calling, man. I think a lot of people struggle with that right now,
Yeah.
and always have, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is a good place to be when you do find your calling. It almost like your perspective on life and the world and who you are, what you do, completely, totally changes. And even the clock, the dials on the clock spin differently once you discover that, because all of a sudden there's all these things you want to do and you want to bring to the world, and it requires amount of resource and time and evolution and research and development. And now that you have found
Expertise.
purpose, yeah, expertise, it's a race to get the 10,000 hours in so that you can be that expert in this newfound calling that you have. And the dials on the hand just start zipping around like crazy because you have so much you want to do, and you realize, oh my God, do I have enough time before I leave this planet to get them all in? Before that,
Yeah.
the dials are just dragging, like a second is an hour, and you're like, oh man, this is painful. Like, what am I gonna do? Why am I even here? Do people even notice me? Am I even worth anything? And then
Yeah.
you find that calling, and life changes dramatically. And and
Well, and your perspective on time changes. And I love that metaphor of the clock spinning because it really blows out of the water everything that we've been taught about time, time being a continuum, right? January, February, March, April, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I don't experience time or space that same way,
yeah,
right? Everything that is past, there's no machine to take you back and fix or change anything.
hmm
It only lives in your imagination and your memory, right? Likewise, everything in the future from this point forward only lives in your memory. So all we have is this moment. This is it, kid. Nobody's promised the next moment. Meteor could fall out of the sky, blow us all up, right? Anything can happen. And so that whole, that ancient saying of seize the day, I take it down to seize the moment.
Right.
This is it. Your entire biography, your parents' biographies, your grandparents, your great grandparents, all the way back to, and mine too, all the way back to our common ancestor, right? The mitochondrial Eve, she's called, the mother of us all, back in Mother Africa. All of it, all the pain, all the suffering, all the joy, all the courage, all the resilience, all the risk has led to this moment and this conversation. We are the dreams of our ancestors. And this is exactly what they wanted for us. Mm-hmm. They wanted us to use the technology of our time to bridge back to one another and to look into each other's eyes. Because you know what? Human beings, our eyes are here. We're not like a lizard whose eyes are out here. We can't see our own face. We can't see our own eyes. We rely on one another to reflect back to us. That's what I love about Owwll, is that you have these wonderful opportunities to find your own reflection, right? Mm-hmm. If you're feeling stuck, you can go find somebody who is an expert, who's put in the time, who's vetted, right? And you can say, you know what? I feel deficient in this skill. I'm going to look up, oh, here's somebody who's got that skill. They're an expert. I'm going to go and talk to them for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, however long it takes. I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Getting back to Owwll.
It's so cool. I like how you say in a moment, because that has been one of my main lectures to people in life, because comedy forces you to be in the moment. You do not have the luxury of taking the past of the standing O that you got last night into tonight's show. That standing O that you got last night does you no good. Cannot help you at all. So at the same time, if you ate it and you didn't get a laugh at all last night, you're not bringing that failure into this moment either. So you literally get to start, you have the luxury to start from scratch in the moment, a do-over, a fresh do-over, second by second. And
is that a metaphor for life?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, every second is a new second for, to be in the moment and have do-overs. And comedy is one of those things. It's like, don't take it so serious. Don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. It's an opportunity to fail forward. It's an opportunity to, like you said, look at your reflection, but then what do you see and what are you getting out of that reflection, that you can look into your own soul, your own eyes, your own vulnerabilities, your own insecurities, your own fears, your own dramas. And then how do you take that and cook that up into a comedic, brilliant lens to make other people laugh and heal at your pain, because they're sitting in the dark amongst each other, laughing at your pain and realizing, oh my God, they do that too. You do that too. You guys are laughing at it. I'm normal. You go into the comedy club with all of these insecurities, these vulnerabilities, and all this angst and anger and hate, only to realize, oh, you guys all feel the same way too. I can relax on this. This is not that big of a deal. We can literally laugh at this. Okay.
And they're laughing with you. They're not laughing at you. And that's a difference. You're laughing and they're laughing with you. And that's the beauty of comedy.
Yes, that is exactly true. So you and I really chopped it up about the theater stuff. Tell me about your plans for the theater, because it was very exciting that you are looking to launch like an international theater type of campaign program. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Well, we've already started, and it's called the Liminos Project, Liminos, liminos.org. And we've already started. We were forming it before COVID, and the vision was to be an international touring company, and not just international in our travels, but international in our company, in the makeup of the company, the performers, the artists, the directors, the writers. We want the spectrum of humanity to be represented, because the vision for the company, which I haven't seen anybody else doing, is it explores the dance across the threshold between the human physical and the human spiritual being, because we're both. But when do we ever talk about the liminal space, the space between spaces, that is you? That you are the pivotal. It takes the human consciousness to conceive everything around us, even God. Even the creative force of this universe takes the human imagination to conceive. I don't know that my service dog has any concept of creation, period. But humans do. And we can do comedy, we can write poetry, we can write plays, we can perform, we can sing, we can dance, we can do all of these things willfully using our imagination. So the Luminos project, which is a word I made up, it infers the liminal space. In that liminal space, we bring artists together to explore the threshold between the physical and the spiritual, the seen and the unseen in the human experience.
Wow.
How's that grab you?
That's cool. That is very
And then
cool.
because COVID hit, right? And then there went our idea for a touring company. So we had to regroup, as many theater companies did. In fact, a lot of theater companies could not survive COVID,
Yeah.
and many have closed, sadly. And so the idea that I had to keep being creative and to keep being innovative, but also honoring the classical traditions of performing. Do you remember Danny Kaye?
Yeah.
You're probably old enough to remember Danny Kaye, right? He was Hans Christian Andersen. He did, had a comedy variety show. He was a Broadway performer, amazing storyteller. And I remember I had an LP record of Grimm's Fairy Tales told by Danny Kaye. And it was not like a book on tape. Once upon a time, there was a princess who lived in a... No, it was layered with music and atmosphere, sound effects, and he played all the characters. He did different voices for all the characters. And I didn't grow up in a happy home. So that was my solace. He was the one person I could turn to, and he was consistent. He was warm. He was funny. He was friendly. And I could put my record on and I could sit with Danny Kaye for a bit and hear a good story and laugh, right? So I thought, there are kids who can't go to school right now. There are kids who are isolated from their friends. There are kids who are growing up in violent homes. There are kids who are in every situation imaginable all over the world. What if we started an audio theater series for children that we call Luminos Liminos Tales? And these are stories that are dying around the world with the people that carry them. This is a rescue mission, and frankly. We're not teaching local stories or the ancient ancestral stories at home, in schools, in our culture. And so this is a way for kids to reconnect to their ancestors through storytelling, and not just, bland book on tape kind of stuff, not in a way that talks down to children or treats them like Muppets, or has these kind of insipid, that whiny kind of
Right.
cartoony kind of thing.
Right.
These are real performers. These are global actors. I have an actor from Zimbabwe. I have an actor from Pakistan. I have an actor from Italy. I have an actor from the UK. I have an actor from the US, all around the world, Hong Kong, right? And so what we do is we record our parts. I'm the director. Each actor performs their parts opposite me in their own digital recorder. And then we stitch it all together in post, and we create a work of art. that sounds like they're in the same room. It sounds like they're in dialogue together. It's got music to let those moments swell or to color the moment. And it's all very cinematic, but the visuals are in the imagination of the listener. So it's interactive. There's nobody there sitting there saying what a princess looks like or what a mermaid looks like or what a dragon looks like. The person listening gets to conceive those images, which children can do from about the age of what, 2.5, 3 years old. And yet we keep presenting them with these adult imagined images and said, this is what it looks like. And it's not.
Wow.
Right. So it's exciting
so
work.
cool.
It's thrilling. We haven't launched them yet, but we're going to very soon. And it's really exciting work. And it's a homeopathic dose of goodness during these challenging times.
How do I audition for the next round, man? That sounds like an exciting thing to be a part of.
You don't have to audition for me. We've already had a couple of chats.
That's awesome.
You've got a beautiful voice. You've got a great character. You got great countenance, and let's do it.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
I'm working
You're
on
in.
an internet radio show that's a live stage performance. We were talking about it, and I would love to have you be on that. You would just kill it. And and I also want to tap into you to help, on a collaborative side of it as well.
Yep.
Have you, have a producer role, a writer role, or whatever, and we could just go back and forth. And I could see you and I doing a writing session and just, making it really funny, really cool. It's a 1940s radio style of show that has these modern movie themes. So the formula is to take a modern, iconic, blockbuster movie that everyone knows about. Everyone knows the gags, they know the characters, they know the cliche lines, and then rewrite that in a 40s style radio show with all the comedic, ridiculous exaggerations. We can take it as far out there if we want to. And
set it in the 1940s. I love that. I love that because it's so specific. It's so specific in its tone and style, and it's great. It's great. And I've directed these kinds of 1940s radio plays when I was teaching at a Waldorf high school. We did that as a senior production where all of the actors were dressed in 1940s. There was somebody doing the sound effects, the Foley. There was somebody else, somebody else, walks up in her pearls and her fur, and she does a commercial for ladies, cream, freckle cream or something. It's great.
Tootsie Roll.
I love it.
And then, like, the main house camera, I'm going to shoot that in black and white. So that's going to be my, kind of like my black and white. You see the whole stage, you see the audience. So you can basically kind of have a back of the house God camera on the whole setting. You see the first couple rows, you see the actors on the side dropping their scripts. You see the storyboard, Dick Tracy style screen of the comic book slides going through as it relates to what's being said, and a little family over here. And then, like, the last 2 minutes, they all fuse together onto the screen. And, the cliffhanger moment, because all those shows had cliffhangers, right?
Yes, that's right.
So that cliffhanger moment is when all the actors then fuse onto the voiceover actors and the living room actors, and everything that's happening in the storyboard actually turns into like a real scene, turns into
like the comic book. They like enter the radio. It's like a portal.
Yeah. And
into an alternate universe. I love this. This is right up my alley. And we should make it musical.
Yeah, right. So we've been working on that. We just started writing our first episode, and I told you a little bit about it. And but I want to introduce you to Maria. She's the director, and she has some brilliant ideas. She's very sharp, and I think the three of us can collaborating on the writing of it to really get these stories super tight, and then we'll just do it. we'll do one, and then
Love it.
we'll just cookie cutter. We'll sit down and we'll maybe pick out 10 films we can
Yeah.
do our little comedic exaggerated rewrites on, and
Yeah.
make this thing a series.
Well, I think it's great, and you don't see that very often. Live theater series, right? We'll sit in our living room and binge watch a series, but we don't go to the theater for a series. And plays, they have to be within under 2 hours, or people lose their attention. What happened to our attention spans? There's one project that I'm working on right now it's part of a saga. It's part of a series. There were 4 plays written about 100 years ago about the journey of the human being, and just sort of the unfolding and the questions that arise about the human connection to the cosmos and how do we navigate all this, right? And so each one of those pieces, each one of those plays separately was about 7 hours in length.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Wow.
They were operatic in scale, right? So it was really a commitment for the actors, for everybody involved, and the audience.
Right.
I mean, you don't sit there for 7 hours. You get up, you have a break, you go to dinner, you come back and watch parts 2 and 3 of the evening or of the day, as the case may be, right? And we think nothing of doing that, binge watching a Netflix series.
Oh, yeah.
But going to the theater for 7 hours to watch a series, even in one day, is unconscionable. People don't think about that. But when it has to do with reflecting the human experience universally, I don't care where you're from, I don't care how much melanin you inherited in your skin. It's, socioeconomic. None of that makes any difference. When you're sitting in a darkened space together, that all vanishes. And what's there is our common ground. What's there is the shared human universal experience, period.
Yeah.
That's when we truly become brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
That's why I'm passionate about the theater, live theater.
That is so cool. Yeah. And everything that you said, I wasn't a theater kid. I always liked and hung out and was fascinated by the theater community, but I was like a jock in school. And then one day, uh, one of the actors was like, "Hey, can you like run a line with me real quick?" And blah blah blah. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I thought, "Wow, this is amazing. This is pretty cool." And then when I came to see the show, and I wasn't one to go to like high school theater shows or whatever,
Right.
and I went, and I was just like, this is probably one of the coolest things I've seen. Like to be a part of rehearsing a line with my buddy, and then seeing them perform it in front of a live audience and getting that live reaction. You in the audience are in the moment, and
you are fully.
You're a part of the thing, even though you weren't the one who put it together. And in all fairness, at the end of the day, you're the 50-50 exchange of energy, because you can't do the thing into an empty room.
Right.
There needs to be, a house full of other human beings to receive. And now you're volleying back and forth that stage audience energy. And it's a relationship that you become with the production and the people on it, and vice versa. The people in the on stage develop a relationship with the crowd. You have this individual crowd personality that is now having this fair exchange of energy.
That's what I was just going to say. From stand-up that every audience is different.
Yeah.
A Thursday night audience is not a Saturday night audience or a Friday night audience. I mean, it's a totally different vibe. Totally. And you have to be on your toes, because if you're performing an act that you've worked up, right, you don't want it to become wooden. You don't want it to be the same every time. Mm-hmm. You're vibing off of them, and you may think of something in the moment that you didn't think of with another audience, and you get to share that moment with them. They get to see a different show every time, whether it's stand-up or whether it's theater. And stand-up is theater, let's face it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and even that Saturday night that has 3 shows. The
Yeah.
pre-dinner show is a completely
Right.
different audience than the dinner show is a completely different audience than the after dinner show, the late night show. Even
That's
on a
right.
Saturday night, you're getting 3 totally separate crowd personalities, and you have to make that adjustment to create a rapport with them and make a connection and develop a
Yeah.
relationship with the time that you're given. You only got
And you
however
have to
much
hone
time.
your instincts too. You
Yeah,
have to hone your instincts because whether you are doing stand up or whether you're doing Shakespeare, you have to be able to gauge pretty early on what's going to land with an audience,
hmm
right?
yeah,
And then you have to rise to that because you want to give them a memorable experience that they can go away and talk about. The best kind of stand up, the best kind of theater that I've ever experienced are the ones that leave the audiences with more questions than they had when they came
right.
in.
That's what I love when like people bring their kids to the show. I'm like, your kids gonna have questions after this show. You realize
Yes, sir.
that? It's your fault for the next 3 weeks. You're going to be feeling a whole lot of questions. You might want to
Exactly.
get some childcare before you come to your next comedy show.
That's right. Yeah, but I was exposed to all that growing up. I remember, our family was split. So when we came back to the States for the summers to spend 3 months with my mom, we would take road trips around the West. She was in Denver, right? So we took a road trip once to Las Vegas to the Strip. And I must have been 11 years old,
Mhm.
and we're looking at the showgirls, we're looking at all the, and part of me remembers feeling, I shouldn't be seeing this. Why are we here? But there's also, I think there's great value in allowing children to ask those questions
Yeah,
and to not make the human body or strong language or any of that taboo.
right.
My son, when he was 9 years old, came up to me and he was from something. Said, "I said, what's wrong? What's wrong?" He said, I want to say a swear word, Papa." He was 9, and I said, "Okay, um, I'll tell you what. I think swearing is important because it's a release. It helps you deal with your feelings, but we got to put some form around it, right? When it's just you and me alone at home, you can swear. When it's just you by yourself in your room behind a closed door, you can swear. If you're anywhere else in the world, at school or at the market or at the park or whatever, you can always swear in your head. You don't have to say it out loud. But I want you to pick one word, make it juicy. Pick a really good word. Go think about it." He did. He went and thought about it. He came back. He said, "Papa?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I found my word." I said, "You did? What? Okay. Do you want to say it? Do you want to say it right now?" He said, "Can I? I can say it." "Yeah. Yeah. I'm giving you permission. You can say it right now." "What's the word?" And he said, he looked over his shoulders and he said, "Ass." And I said, "Whoa, that's a strong word." He said, "Can I say that?" I said, "Okay, you can say ass." "I can say ass?" "Yes, you can say ass." He started bouncing all around the house. Ass, 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 ass. It was the funniest moment, and it was beautiful.
That's awesome.
One of my favorite moments as a parent is giving permission to children to see the world as only they can. You know,
Yeah.
It's
No.
not robbing them. That's like this whole drag queen story hour controversy, which is no controversy. Let kids wonder. Let kids have those experiences,
Yeah, I think
controlled, not in a way that's going to abuse them, or be really inappropriate, but You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I can totally relate to where you're coming from because I grew up single mom, and my mom was a party girl. You know, she was part of that whole kind of Black Panther theme movement. She was part of the hippie movement. She was part of the Afrocentric, Angela
Yes.
Davis,
Black is
discovery of Black
beautiful.
is
Yes.
Beautiful, the music at the time with all the jazz and the
Yeah.
blues and the
Natural hair.
yeah, I mean, she was that girl. She was that girl. And I can
Well,
remember being 5, 6, 7 years old. She took me to see James Brown in concert. We were 3 rows back, and to see all these black women screaming and fainting, and looking over and seeing my mom like passed out, in a shark skin mini skirt,
my
it,
mom wanted to be that, but
it,
she couldn't. She married my dad, and he was a Jewish lawyer, and he was in law school, and he was trying to keep a conservative home, and but you know what? I still have the 1968 original cast album of Hair.
nice.
Did you ever listen to it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of strong
There's
language
there's
on
a
that
lot of
album.
language in that. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I would go to my grandparents' house and I start to sing, you know, about sodomy, I didn't know what I was singing, but I knew all the lyrics.
Right? It's funny because my mom used to also throw these really groovy kind of soul parties, these
Mm,
soul hippie parties with everything that came with it. And she
yeah.
loved to dance, and I was a really good dancer as a kid because Michael Jackson and I were the same age. And here you got this
Oh,
Michael
wow.
Jackson at 5 years old on the Ed Sullivan Show dancing. And of course, my mom is like, "Oh, do Michael Jackson, do James Brown, do all." So I could do James Brown, I could do his moves, I could do Michael Jackson, maybe even better
Wow.
than they can do it. Not to brag, but I was just that
Yeah.
much into it.
Wow.
I can remember my
Wow.
mom like waking me up 11, 12 at night. I'm in my pajamas, like sleep in the eyes. And do your thing, and I'd be like half asleep, being like, get up, like, and then these adults are like engaging in adult late night Saturdays, late 60s party activities, and
That's
I'm like
right.
exposed to all of it,
Yep.
and on one hand being fascinated, on another hand having lots of questions, and then on the other hand it's like seeing my mom like participating in it's her party,
Right.
it's our house,
Right. Yeah, we had those
But
parties too, but we were in Europe,
yeah,
and it was crazy times. But there was a new kind of freedom that people had found in their human soul.
right.
I think that the black culture certainly broke through
It was an explosion.
at that pivotal time, just after civil rights movement. Um, but then, they're the white folks of the '60s, the '50s, where everything was all sort of clean pressed and clean and pearls and vacuuming in your high heels and all coiffed and TV dinners and stuff. It was a breakthrough time, and I'm really glad I was born in the mid '60s
Yeah,
because I got to
no,
see it unfold. I got
yes,
to see the '70s and the disco
yes,
era and the
yeah,
Commodores and all
yeah,
that. I got to see it unfold, and I don't think we'll ever have anything like that
never,
again.
no. I say we are the luckiest human beings in the existence of human beings, if you think about it. Before us, it took decades and centuries to
Crazy.
invent and implement things. Now, think about this. Before us, the entire universe was mechanical. And then we come along, and all of a sudden it becomes analytical, and then digital, and then wireless. What moment in mankind did you have the evolution of no debris in space, not one man-made thing was off our planet, to
Right.
billions of pollution in space of things that are just hurling around that are man-made.
Space garbage. Yeah.
Space garbage. Where in the existence of humanity have you seen the accelerated evolution of technology and inventions and the creation of humans? It took 1,000 years to invent the wheel, and then another 4,000 to go, oh, let's put two on a cart, and then another 3,000 to be like, well, if we have four wheels and made them lighter and had an animal pull it, you know what I mean?
And now we made the jump to light speed.
We jumped to light speed. It's amazing. And you and I are the luckiest human beings in the existence of human beings to live that. We were born nothing in space. And now we've seen step by step the evolution, good or bad, of where we are today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't qualify it because there are so many good things that are happening. There's so many advances that are happening. My first exposure to anything that had anything to do with outer space was 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Right.
Which was a marvel to me.
Right.
And the special effects and the realism and everything in that movie, including AI, HAL, right, has come to pass.
Yeah.
We have space stations.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's amazing to me. And so, look at Star Trek that came out. And you know who we have to thank for Star Trek? Lucille Ball.
Oh, yeah.
She put her stamp on it. She was the president of Desilu Productions that produced it. And they came to her with this script that was ethnically diverse, which was unseen on TV at that time, and took place in the distant future up in space. And she had the forethought and foresight to see that we needed that. We needed to see ourselves reflected on the small screen as well as the big screen. It needed that kind of visionary look into the future to see that we can live harmonious as a people of this earth, as this planet. It showed us what was possible. How did we get back to where we are is what I want to know.
Right. Yeah, no,
it's
interesting.
What happened?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, wow.
Yeah.
Dude, I could chop it up with you for hours. We're going to have this be a to be continued for sure.
Well, I'm going to have you on my podcast, the Lost Traveler podcast.
I can't wait.
Very soon.
I can't wait. Yeah. Let me know anytime.
Yeah, we'll pick this up.
Yeah. So where can we find you on the socials one more time? Like your socials, your website?
If you just go to henryallen.org, everything I'm doing is there, or links to the different places I am. All my socials are linked there. My charitable work, my podcast, my theater work, my music. I'm a crooner. I'm a jazz singer.
Awesome.
And, and I'm a folklorist and storyteller. So it's all there.
Sweet.
You can go and click all the buttons, click on my name, and it'll give you my bio as well. It's all there. It's pretty, I've been trying to hone my message and get a clear sense of who I am with all this plate spin.
It's a never ending assignment because you're always evolving.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
But I'm refining as well, which is good.
Well, you can find me with everything that I do on the comedy side of things at podbrother.com. That's my stand-up comedy. If you want to learn how to do stand-up comedy, I do a comedy workshop called the pnnacademy.org. Go there to sign up. And Henry, I want you to definitely audit my workshop so you can give me some notes and some pointers for sure.
Be honored. I would be honored.
Shows like this, you will be able to see on podbrothernation.com, because everything that I record live ends up on Pod Brother Nation. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. This is Owwll Week, which is we do it once a year. This is our second one. I'm proud to participate and do
Yeah.
this, and very honored to have you on, Henry Allen, to be a part of the live Owwll Week experience. And for those of you who want to become an owl, download the app. You can see Henry's promo code right there, HA, as in haha, as in I made you laugh.
As
Ha.
I always have the last laugh. Yes.
Ha 290002 is his promo code. He'll get $10 for you downloading it. You'll get $10 to make some calls to both he and I and any other Owl members that happen to be available at the time that you log on. And your life will be changed forever as well. If you want to download my promo code, it's comedy, and you can get that $10. Use that to have some fun chopping it up with us on the Owl app. And you don't have to give away your number. Your number is not even on any of the displays. You basically are making a call through the app, and you get to keep that privacy intact, which is one of the things that I love. So thank you guys very much. Henry, my brother, I really appreciate you, and this was fun.
This is great. This was great. We'll do it again real soon.
We will. Thank you very much. All right. Peace out, everybody. One last thing. Be nice to yourself, because when you're nice to yourself, you're just going to be nice to other people. That's just how it works. All right. Peace out, everybody.
Works.